All right. Happy Sunday. Giving thanks for this yet another day for us to come together as like minds, raising our frequency towards divinity, recognizing who we are as children of God. We give thanks for the privilege of being divine beings, being children of God. We give thanks for space like this for us to feed our soul and continue to grow in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of what that truly means. May we continue to be washed of all negating thoughts and feelings. May we continue to be filled with truth. May we continue to be filled with faith and courage. We give thanks for this message today in advance. May it be exactly what each one needs who are tuned in live and as a replay to feed their souls so they can continue to walk in their divine path. We give thanks. Ashe, amen. Amen, amen, amen. All right, let's jump into it. Last week, we talked about faith. The disciple for faith is Peter. This week, and I'm going to, I've been inspired to go through, as long as I'm inspired, I'm going to do it. But to talk through the 12 powers of man is what it's called, or the 12 disciples, or what I call spiritual character. I think what is very necessary right now for us to focus on is establishing spiritual character. Establishing spiritual character. For a long time, we have been pressed to be moral, morally conscious. We have been pressed to be ethical. You know, we hear these words thrown around. Is it or do they use ethical practices? Are they following the moral code for society? Usually, this is spoken of, and there's nothing wrong with that. Moral code and ethical practices support, balance, harmony in a society. But when we're talking about spirituality, our spiritual strength, our spiritual health, our spiritual resilience, spiritual character must be established. Okay? And in the Bible, the 12 disciples represent the 12 faculties of man that make up man's spiritual character. Okay? So for those who are studying it, I know some are going on your own, you're doing your self-study. You want to look up and explore in the site that we use, Truth Unity. You want to explore the 12 powers of man. Okay, it'll show up in that. Usually when you look it up, it's going to list the disciples and the faculties that disciples represent. Then you take each one of those and you explore each one. And so I'm essentially doing a little bit of that in our talks, starting last week where I did Peter or faith. Okay. Remember, faith is your substance. And where you are as far as your substance go is what you're going to find yourself creating. And so faith can be all of these that we talk about, from faith to strength. That's what we're talking about today, to will, zeal, understanding, love. All of these things are part of our spiritual character. It's two sides of it. Your faith can be in carnal mindedness and man and the world, or your faith can be in divine mindedness and the reality of God. Same way with strength. You can base or establish your strength in carnal mindedness and the world, or you can establish your strength in divine mindedness and the reality of God. Which one you think gonna hold you up? I pray you chose this one, okay? Because the strength of this world, we know this body fails us. Oftentimes they say power, what's one of the main things that this world says you must have to have power? What's one of the main things? In order to have power, you must have this in this world. I hear it so often. You may not hear it as often articulated now, but it's getting a little bit better. But I heard it just recently from somebody. I just was like, wow, they still on that, huh? It's not the time for that. They say if you don't have no money, you don't have no power. Yeah, Alicia says it. Money. And so people are chasing money, chasing power, chasing strength, chasing survival through this idea of money. Okay. And money gives you the thought of abundance in this world, but abundance in the spiritual world is based in your spiritual character. That's your currency. Your spiritual character is your currency. That's your shmoney in the spiritual world. Okay. That's your bank. How full is your bank account when it comes to your spiritual character? So I'm often saying, go back and revisit the 12 powers of man. For my members, we have done at least 3 series where we have covered the powers of man, the 12 disciples, and the 12 apostles. We've done all 3. For those who may not know, that is our metaphysical studies group. We meet every Tuesday, and these are the things we discuss at length. They have the privilege of going through full-blown courses and being able to discuss it and ask questions. And so if you're interested in that, if you're interested in going deeper in your studies, which I feel like some of you all very much so are, then you may want to explore the Thrive membership. All right. So I think we understand, right? Okay, when we go into our personal studies, the 12 powers of man or the 12 disciples or the 12 apostles are ones you want to cover, all right? So let's get into strength. I want to first highlight Galilee. Okay, you find Galilee in the Bible quite often. This is where the disciples and Jesus, the base of their story was. We're going to start there because I want us to really get a sense of, remember, when you're studying the Bible, you want to get a sense of what is it talking about? Where is it leading us and guiding us in our knowledge and understanding? And remember, the Bible is a book of consciousness. All right. The Bible is a book of consciousness. So let's start with Galilee, because this is where all the disciples were. So I think it would behoove us to really understand this Galilee. All right. So I have up on the screen the metaphysical meaning of Galilee. I'm sorry, did you all see that screen when I Googled it? I want to show you all, teacher and me, y'all. You type in Galilee and then Truth Unity in your browser and it'll pop it right up. Okay. Because if you go to truthunity.net, it may be a little hard to navigate. Wanted to let you all know that for those who want to study it. All right. So Galilee, the metaphysical meaning of Galilee. Let's look at historically. If we're looking at historical standpoint, this is one of the 3 main divisions of the country of Palestine. At one time, it consists of the circuit of 20 towns that Solomon gave to Hiram, king of Tyre. At the time of Jesus Christ, it was a part of Palestine in which he did much of his ministry. Okay. The disciples were Galileans. And Nazareth, the home of Jesus, was in Galilee. Okay. I wanted to give you the reason why I wanted us to understand, what does Galilee mean metaphysically? Metaphysically, Galilee represents the energy of life activity, soul energy, power, force, energy, acting in conjunction with substance. So Galilee is life. It's the energy of life. It's that ever-flowing, never-ending, all-powerful energy of life. And this is where Jesus did much of its ministry. Divine mindedness does its ministry through the energy of your life. So let me make that practical. What's the energy of your life? The energy of your life shows up in your bloodline, in your relationships, through your passions, your desires, what you find yourself drawn to, through the circumstances you find yourself in. That's the energy of your life. And oftentimes we are in resistance to the energy of our life. Why? Because we're judging it. Why am I going through? You questioning it. If you're flowing with life, no matter what's going on, you see this as, this is my ministry. This is the way that God is teaching me through my life. This is my Galilee. My life is my Galilee. My life and all of that is involved is my Galilee. And my disciples are of this life. Is that making sense? That might make you think about the stories a little differently. But I want to emphasize that, however, whether you have found yourself being a student, a working person, an entrepreneur, a family of 5, a family of 2, a person who was adopted, a person who had a lot of struggles in life, or a person who didn't have a lot of struggles. Doesn't matter. Whatever your life, however it has unfolded, that's your Galilee. And it's the energy of your life. And it is your power. And it is your force. What's included in that is your personality, is your passions, is your divine mindedness, your intuition, all of it. That's why we say all is God. Another name for God, life. Another name for God, energy. All right. So our life is the place of divine mindedness. All right. I'm going to keep reading. Jesus' entrance into Galilee represents the increased activity that ensues when truth comes down into the subconscious realm and brings about the realization of Christhood. After personality has been denied and praise of God has been set up. In life, we oftentimes flow in our personality, our personhood. Jesus, divine mindedness, divine manhood, enters into Galilee, into your life, when that higher consciousness happens, that renewal of the mind, including the subconscious and the conscious and the superconscious. When that renewal of the mind happens, now your life becomes invigorated. So those circumstances that used to scare you, those circumstances that used to make you angry, sad, mad, or whatever, now you can see the energy of God through you flowing through your life. But first, Jesus has to enter in. And then once Jesus started to do his ministry, what starts to follow Jesus? The disciples. Okay? Your faculties. Okay? Your disciplines. It starts to follow divine mindedness. Your faith switched from faith in this world to faith in the Almighty. Your strength is rejuvenated and renewed from faith, from strength of this world to strength of your divinity. Okay, I'm just setting the foundation of the benefit of understanding disciples and the whole story of it. Okay, the whole story of it is trying to help us to see the process of development of God-mindedness. That's the process of development. Then the disciples come and follows. And the disciples weren't always, okay, so we can stop going so hard on ourselves. Remember the story of the disciples? They weren't always on point. Your faith ain't always going to be on point. Jesus had to check the disciples often. They come bothering Jesus. You wake up, Jesus, stone cold sleep in the storm. You just want us to die. That's how we be feeling sometimes, don't it? The world, all type of stuff. We like, I'm trying this positive thing. I done meditated for 30 days and da-da-da-da-da. Don't we do it? And then thank God. From the soul food we've been getting, from the community we have, we're able to be reminded. And we can speak a peace that can be still and then remind ourselves, have faith. And that is real. Come on, ye of little faith. Haven't you seen how I moved? You've been walking with me. And that's that time of your life that you have to sit down and be reminded. Go into remembrance. I talk about remembrance constantly. Go into remembrance. So when the storm is happening, the ship is swaying and the waves are high. Waves represent emotions. Water represents emotions. And when that panic starts to come in, you have to go into remembrance. This is the process. Now, if you're looking for a process where you don't have to constantly kind of do that, this is not it. I don't know the process. I just don't know it. Okay. So I can't offer it to you. The process is constantly allowing yourself, reminding yourself, going into remembrance, allowing yourself to go through ebbs and flows in your life without going hard on yourself. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if we got a clear understanding of what is Galilee. Okay, remember, Galilee is the energy of your life and all that is in it. Okay, give thanks. Give thanks. Including family, passions, all of that, personality, all of that. That's Galilee. Setting the tone here for what we're talking about. Excuse me. Jesus's entrance into Galilee represent the increased activity that ensues when truth comes down into the subconscious realm and brings about the realization of Christhood after personality has been denied and praise of God has been set up. So when we talk about personality being denied, remember, this is not saying personality is good or bad. This is just knowing the place of it. All of these things must be raised up to God level, must be servants of your divine mind. Your personality, the ego, all of that has its benefits in divine mindedness. I just wanted to be clear about that. When the illumined intellect, John the Baptist, which is represented by John the Baptist, which Andrew used to be the disciple of John the Baptist. That's a key I want y'all to know about Andrew. We're talking about Andrew today. Andrew represents strength. Listen to this. This is key. Andrew represents strength. We're going to find that strength is not the strength that we think about in this world, but it's actually strength in mind. And the strength in mind, represented by Andrew, used to be disciple of John the Baptist. And John the Baptist represented the kind of like higher mindedness and intellect, though, more so intellect, the illumined intellect. So these are understanding of the metaphysics, understanding of the laws of attraction or the laws of the universe from an intellectual standpoint. And I wanted to highlight that because oftentimes that's one of the first stages is you begin to go higher in consciousness as far as like your intellect go. But that spiritual character still haven't been developed. And so you're oftentimes here, I know better, but I don't know. Like, I know this, I know it. Meaning you understand it, but that true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding has to be developed. So Andrew, this strength, was the follower or disciple of the higher intellect. So he was doing a pretty good job, I imagine, right? But what had to happen is it had to move from intellect to something more internal. Okay? When the illumined intellect, represented by John the Baptist, is cut off from outer expression, the spiritual I am, Jesus, withdraws into Galilee, which is consciousness of endless activity, in order to come into closer contact with God, the source of all energy. Galilee, associated with mountain, symbolizes a high consciousness of life. Science tells us that this Galilee consciousness exists everywhere as an interpenetrating ether. Jesus called it the kingdom of the heavens. The disciples represent man's faculties. Our work is to call the attention of these faculties to this kingdom of heaven, kingdom of the heavens within us. Some of them will appreciate and enter into it, while others will be unaffected. Will be dubious. I'm going to read this last part and then we're going to move to Andrew. Man has a dual nervous system. The nerves are the wires that conduct the messages of the brain to every part of the organism. The voluntary nervous system centers in the spinal cord. The involuntary or sympathetic nervous system centers in your solar plexus. A constant flow of nervous energy is making the circuit of this nervous system and carrying all kinds of messages from the mind. This would take me an hour to go into it how I really want to. But I'm gonna make it practical for you. Give me a second. This sea of vitality in your solar plexus is designated in the history of Jesus as the Sea of Galilee. Remember I said what water is? It's these waves of emotions, these waves of you emoting. Where does your emotions and your emoting come from? It comes from your perceptions of this world, which then creates beliefs, ideas, attitudes. Those attitudes affect your energy. And from that Sea of Galilee, you are creating. If your perception is from divine mindedness, it's going to bring on divine beliefs and ideas, which is going to bring on divine energy, God energy, and it's going to create from that energy. It clearly said here, there's an involuntary flow of energy that's already in us. And it's a voluntary one. So you already have God energy in you, but you also have that energy from that sympathetic nerve, that sympathetic system that impacts you. This is why the emphasis on higher mindedness, divine mindedness is so important, because it is what's going to literally vibrate from you. Solar plexus is known to be our sun energy. Solar plexus energy is known to be our Ashe. Solar plexus energy is known to be our God energy, our God center. It's where our confidence is. It's where our will is, if we put words to it. It's where our zeal is. If you're not functioning in divine mindedness, then you're going to be flowing in the will of this world, in the zeal of this world, in the confidence of this world. Okay, all right. Yeah, you got about 4 lessons in this one. I'm trying. Okay, I'm wrapping it. Give me a second. All right, John 6:1 means that I am passed over the voluntary nervous energy to the involuntary, to the other side, and concentrated at the solar plexus. The great multitude that followed are the legions of thought that swarm in the mind seeking harmony. The mountain in which Jesus went is the high spiritual consciousness. There's some information about Galilee. I pray that helps us to see and understand stories in Galilee a little better. Now, Andrew, the disciple that we're talking about today, a few things about Andrew I want you to hear. Andrew was the first to call Jesus divine-mindedness Messiah. Andrew represents strength. Let's go so we can see what strength means. Because again, Andrew represents strength. We're doing intellect, and I pray that this intellect is helping us to truly understand processes of growth in consciousness, because that's what the Bible is trying to show us. Andrew, listen to what Andrew represents. The strength of the mind that is rejoiced greatly when it finds the inexhaustible source of strength, of all strength, and exclaims, "We have found the Messiah." Andrew symbolizes the strength, while Simon Peter symbolizes the faith. Peter was his brother, capacity of the mind. When strength finds faith, and they are brothers, consciously in mind, a bond of unity is established that carries one along, even though one may encounter the most adverse experiences. When strength, let's go to strength. Strength is the energy of God, freedom from weakness, stability of character. What character we're talking about here? Spiritual character. Power to withstand temptation. Capacity to accomplish. This is all that strength means. Strength, the energy of God. Strength, listen, let me tell you, when you around doubt, fear, all of that, and you stand firm in your faith in the reality of God, you are exercising strength, which is also the energy of God. Can we think about it like that? It's so real. I've been a witness to how if I just stand in my faith and this freedom of weakness from mind, stability in this spiritual character, my power to withstand temptation. What's the temptation? The temptation to indulge in the gossip, the temptation to be afraid, the temptation to, so now we have all of these things going around. Oh, we about to be attacked. We're going to have a big circuit break. We ain't going to have no electricity, no water. All type of things are coming out. Prophets are speaking. Astrologists are talking. Everybody, you got the politicians, everybody talking now. If you are tempted, if you don't have this spiritual strength, this freedom from weakness, this ability to not fall victim to the temptation of fear, your energy of God decreases. Because the strength is the energy of God. So if you can't withstand it and you can't be tempted, guess what they say? If you can't not be tempted to drink, you shouldn't be going in a bar. You need to cut them conversations out. You need to turn that TV off. You need to turn the news off. You need to stop reading them articles. You need to stop watching that stuff on social media. Stop. If you own a Liberty plan, you shouldn't be caught in Golden Corral. I know everybody ain't from Atlanta. I don't know if Golden Corral is all around the nation. I don't know what the equivalent to Golden Corral is in other states, cities. You trying to follow Liberty plan, you gonna be eating them sweet buttery rolls. It's the same thing, okay? Don't be so self-righteous. Well, I'm good. I'm standing on God. And then okay, get in them conversations. You going home, you 2 o'clock in the morning buying survival kits. Be careful. Be careful. And that's not to say that you're weak. It's just saying that you are not being intentional with your energy. Because I'm not going to go somewhere where I can't maintain my strength. Why would you do that to yourself? So I just don't watch it. I'm not going to watch it. Okay. Let's keep on flowing. The strength we're talking about. Let's say it again. The strength. What is the strength? Strength is, spiritual strength is the energy of God, freedom from weakness, stability of character, spiritual character, that is, which is the 12 disciples of Jesus, or the 12 powers of man, stability in that character. Let me just put it, I want you all to be able to see those here without going into them. I want you to see just the list of them. Your character is your spiritual faith, your spiritual strength, your spiritual, this is the next one too. I can't wait to get this one. Discrimination or judgment, your spiritual judgment. I'm just being real. I'm calling it how it is from what you're seeing. You can't call it how it is oftentimes. When you in divine mindedness, you can't call it by what you see by these two eyes. What you see with your two eyes, you may have to pause for the cause and say some prayers and go in some meditation and sit on it for a little while for God to really show you what you're being shown. That takes strength in itself for you not to immediately react. That's why I say be slow to judge. See it for what it is. Be an observer. Don't absorb it. Sit on it. What is God trying to show me in this? Because ain't no way I'm just seeing this just to be afraid or just to be freaked out. There must be something else that I'm being shown in this. Spiritual discrimination and judgment. Spiritual love or divine love, divine or spiritual power, divine or spiritual imagination. This is your character. Hello. Some of us, our imagination need to be washed because we imagine the worst. That's why we have nightmares so much, because your subconscious is full of fear. Now we wake up thinking we demon possessed and everything about to fall apart and all the fire and brimstone and everything. Okay. You might need to wash your imagination. Everything has to be developed. Your understanding. Some of us are fully under understanding and intellect. If it don't make sense to us intellectually, we can't have an understanding of it. And I'm telling you, you must be in spirit and in truth to be able to get spiritual understanding of circumstances and situations oftentimes. Spiritual will. Some of us are trapped in our personal will. We don't even really know how to allow God's will to be done in our lives because we have been into quote unquote control over everything. We have had to do it. I've always had to do me. I've always had to do what I need to do. And me, my. And then you're in your own will. And so you have to develop that will in God. And that takes a whole bunch of get into a relationship with spirit, being more patient, being more slow, being more quiet, being all of that. Order. There's a divine order. Some of us are stuck in our personal order. We got a life plan we've been following. We got a life plan our mama gave us, our daddy gave it. Okay, well, what's the divine order? Have you even tapped into that? We got the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, the 15-year plan. Well, if you ain't built that plan in spirit and the truth, and if you're going off of the plan of your mama said, your daddy said, the society said, the church said, the this said, the that said, I'm going to tell you right now, you may not be flowing in divine order, but you're going to find out. That's what you are going to do. I don't mean to laugh. Sorry. You're going to find out. We pray that you find out in a lighthearted space. Zeal, divine zeal. Some of us are quite zealous, and we're proud of that zeal. Renunciation or elimination. This is your ability to renunciate. Now, some of us, we renunciate in a way that's coming from our own personality. We hear this when we hear people say, oh, that ain't God. I rebuke that in the name. Well, okay, first of all, you already started out from the wrong attitude, because that's your zeal or your renunciation. Pardon me. That's your renunciation. You're denying from your own personality, not from spirit. And lastly, Judas. A lot of people know Judas. A lot of people got the wrong perception of Judas. Life conserver. That's your spiritual character. What is strength? That's what the lesson is about today. Strength is the energy of God, which is freedom from weakness. Another way to say it, stability of spiritual character. Another way to say it, power to withstand temptation. Another way to say it, the capacity to accomplish. I like the way they say that, because do you have the capacity to accomplish from God level, even in the face of adversity? Because when you're walking in divine strength, you absolutely do. Because you are expressing the energy of God. Some of us are so quick to be like, oh, I can't do that. Well, why you can't? And then they'll run down all the intellectual and worldly reasons why they can't. I'm not strong enough. I'm not light enough. They won't let me. It's nothing out there for me that's in a match with me. I don't have the credit. I don't have the degrees. I don't have the strength. I don't have the knowledge. You need to, first of all, fall to the ground and die. Then when you're raised up, you need to be in spirit and in truth. The only way you really going to be in spirit and in truth is if you slow down, be more prayerful, be more meditative, be more in tune with your spirit. Stop listening to other people. Stop being led and guided by other people. Stop trying to get validation from other people. You're going to have to go independent, dependent on that which is within. And how do you know what is within? How do you know it's in alignment? Because it feels invigorating. It feels inspiring. It feels at peace. It feels like an opening. It feels like it makes sense. It could be, the Most High could be leading and guiding you in something scary, but there's a peace that surpasses understanding about it. There's something you just can't explain it. You actually stop trying to explain it, because you just know this is the way to go. And you also know that's not the way. I know this not the way. The fight is the intellect, but that's where Peter, Andrew's brother, come in, where you have to have faith. And when that faith match up with that strength, the freedom from weakness, the ability to not be tempted, not fall into temptation, you good. Now that may not be easy sometimes, because you can have the faith, but you got them temptations to be like, give it up or be doubtful. But you have to have your strategies. How do I have my strategies to maintain my strength? One of those strategies, you need to have a daily routine. Every day, you should be going into prayer, meditation, affirmation, remembrance every day. Another strategy is journaling, scripting, mantras, where you're training the subconscious mind to relax. A consistent prayer that you pray, a consistent name of God that you call, a consistent scripture that you recite, so that you can train these faculties to relax in this faith and in this strength. They say that Peter and Andrew were one of the first disciples of Jesus, one of the first. What that tell you? That's two of the faculties you're going to have to work on. Because if you don't have faith and strength, how is your will going to be on God level? If you don't have strength in that faith, how is your zeal going to be, or your judgment? Depending on where your faith is, how you're going to make your judgments in your life. Okay. I think we get it. I think so. All right. Last thing I want to highlight here is that Andrew was a fisherman. Okay. We hear about the fishermen, right? I want us to look at fishermen from a metaphysical standpoint. Remember, the disciples were fishermen. Okay. And we're talking about the faculties. Fishers of men, metaphysically, means spiritually quickened men who are strongly fortified in truth and able to help others to find the light. Your spiritual character will help others find the light. Men, what do men mean? This is not giving us straight up, but when we talk about men or man, metaphysicians, what are we talking about? Because it's not just talking about men in the physical. That will be the case. Your spiritual character, your fortification in truth will be ones that help other men see the light or people see the light. There you go. Thoughts. So here's the thing. As you begin to establish your faith and strength and all of your other faculties in divine mindedness, your thoughts will change. You won't think the same anymore. Because what is salvation? It is a radical renewal, restoration, regeneration of the mind. It don't have nothing to do with you going to take a shahada. It don't have nothing to do with you going up to the altar at church. It doesn't have nothing to do with you going to get your what is it called? Your hand in Ifa. I forget the thing, what it's called. I see the name in my head, but I can't remember what it's called. But it ain't have nothing to do with you going to get your hand in Ifa. It don't have nothing to do with you getting inducted or initiated into Santeria or Voodoo or whatever we want to call it, Buddhism, becoming an Orthodox Buddhist, becoming an Orthodox, because there are Orthodox Buddhists, there are people with their hand in Ifa, there are people with their hand, if they call it that, in Santeria, there are people who are Orthodox Catholic, there are people who are straight up ministers and teachers and preachers and saved, sanctified, and all that clearly has not experienced that radical transformation of the mind. And it's clear. I'm not here to dig on nobody. I'm just talking truth. What you want me to do? And I want us to be clear about the truth. It don't got nothing to do with how many beads you got on your neck. It don't have nothing to do with how many titles you got behind your name. So get past the physical stuff of it all. Now, let me say this. If you choose to follow a certain faith or a path, it should support that renewal of the mind. It should support that building the stability of your spiritual character. If it doesn't, that's what spirituality and religion is for. That's what it's for. If Buddhism is your way to build your stability and spiritual character, by all means, do it. Does it support the renewal of your mind so that it is integrated into the reality of God, into truth? Whatever that is that God called you to do so that you can walk in that, do it. I can't judge you on that. I can only talk about me and my house. But I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how much money you pay and how many sacrifices you do and how many bees you get and how many times you go up on that altar, how many if you are not experiencing a radical transformation of mind, if you're not under teachings that help you to experience that radical transformation of mind, remember I said help you, because can't nobody do it for you. Nothing in this physical world can do that. There's no ritual, no special prayer, no. That is a relationship between you and God. That is your process of falling to the ground and dying. And sitting with yourself and listening to that, what is it, voluntary energy of God that's flowing through you. Is always talking to you, speaking to you. May need to help to understand the voice, to get to that space, to quiet your mind. All that is helpful. The prayers, the remembrance, the affirmations, the journaling, the scripture, all of that can help you to quiet the mind, because where there's understanding, where there is knowledge, the mind can quiet down. So if you understand that, first of all, in order for me to even exercise strength, I have to have faith in divine mindedness. That's helpful. To relax you. It gives you something to hold on to, and not these fleeting thoughts and all these things outside. That becomes your rock. Peter, the rock. Now you get into this stillness. Well, now God can speak. Then it's just the work of you trusting in it, and it's work. But I'm saying, if these traditions and spiritual systems and religions is not assisting you in doing that, stop it. Okay? These are old ways of doing things. Dressing up, going to church, and you ain't experiencing not a little bit of radical transformation of mind. Because you too caught up in this person over there and that person over there and what he said and they said, and then you feeling some type of way because the spirit done been told you, I don't want you going nowhere. I want you in a quiet room with a blank journal and a pen and taking some deep breaths, and when that pen get ready to write it down. I'm saying that's the only way to journal, but that's a way. Sit with a blank sheet of paper in your hand. Somebody asked about journaling. I'm not gonna read. I'm sorry. I don't want to stop and read the question, but I'm gonna say this about journaling. And I have a few. And some of my favorite journals to use is some of the journals we have in stock here. I ain't doing no shameless plug. I'm just saying. I have this beautiful journal that every day I will sit with it blank like this and a pen. And the first thing I do is clear my mind and be quiet. And I don't do nothing. I ain't writing nothing, ain't writing no question. I'm not looking at nothing. Till I'm relaxed. My heart feels light. My body feels relaxed. My mind is at rest. Then I say a prayer. Speak to me. Show me. Sometimes a little come out. Sometimes nothing come out. Sometimes a whole page will come out. I can't give you no other instructions but that. I can't tell you what happens. I can't tell you how to do it, and I don't argue with it. I write it down, and it's usually not something to do. It's usually something to reflect upon. And guess what? It's going to be talking about something in Galilee in my life. It may highlight something about my health, my relationships, my something. It's just going to come. A scripture might pop up. A song may start ringing in my head. A cardinal may come right on my door and sit there and stare at me. So I write cardinal. A number may start popping up in my mind. I don't know. Or I might be like, write the word nothing. And when I write the word nothing, a whole world opens up. Nothing. Huh. No thing. What does thing mean? What does no mean? What scriptures do nothing is the word nothing used in? Let me see. Now I'm in the process of journaling. Our intellect, the purpose of our intellect is to be able to, once spirit is starting to speak to us in the language that we say speak to us, your intellect helps you to move along with it. That's how intellect should serve spirit. So notice I'm not going to, well, what journaling prompt did that? I am not going against it, but I'm saying for you to really get a relationship with spirit, you're going to have to stop being addicted to outside stimuli and instructions and validation and all of that. You just have to. If you want to build a relationship with spirit, is all I'm talking about. Because it's not an outside world. The outside world begins to serve what's going on inside. So now when the cardinal come up, it's like, oh, interesting. Now when that interaction happens, you go, interesting. So you're not caught up in the interaction. You're looking at it from an inner place. Like, that's interesting. What was her name? Her name was such and such. Oh, that server, he said this and this happened. And what was his name? Oh, his name was what? Oh, wow. You know what that means? Then now everything that happens in this world, in Galilee, is the ministry. Giving thanks for the word today. I'm done because I could go on and on forever. All right. Review today. We talked about strength. Last week we talked about faith. Peter. This week is strength. Andrew. Strength is the energy of God, the freedom from weakness. Okay. The ability to withstand temptation. And it's of the mind. Strength is the strength of mind. Okay. All right. And coupled with faith, because Andrew is Peter's brother, now it can stand in unity as you walk your walk. And that's two of the first disciples that followed this divine mindedness, also known as Jesus, this divine man. So these are the faculties that are very important, almost firstly important for you to establish the other faculties. Okay, for that will, the zeal, the love, and all of that. Because when you get the love, baby, if you haven't got that other one, you're going to be like, you're going to throw it away. Because love is one of them sensitive spots for us. You know, you got to watch the mind a little bit before you get to that love. Because you ain't going to really understand what divine love is. The acceptance and allowance of things to be as they are. Wait a minute. You asking for too much now. Okay. I'm not accepting it. There's no way I would allow that. Okay. So you got to build up that faith first and that strength. Because when you are called to walk in divine love, I wasn't ready. Prophetess Yolanda said, you got to be dead. I'm out. I'm nothing. Real talk, though. Y'all ain't hear me now. You got that is so real. I got to accept and allow this. Wait a minute. We've been called to that love space. Guess what? A lot of people are dealing with heart issues right now. Why? The heart just tight because they haven't built that faith and strength in the Almighty. It's still, and so that strength that they thought they had and things in this outside world is being challenged right now. You got to build your faith and your strength in something different, something higher, because everything on the outside is like in shambles. It's like, so you can't get caught up in all of that outside stuff. It has to be an internal thing. So now when you get to that love, because before that you got building your judgment, discrimination, those type of things. But when you get to that love, Now you really can walk in love despite anything that's happening in your life, in this world. You can walk in love. And love, when we get to it, you will see it does not have too much to do with the affectionate love, the romantic love, this possessive love, this conditional love that we often think about or practice in our lives. It has everything to do with it's a part of that energy of God where you are able to accept and allow life to be because you have no fear because your faith is firm in the reality of God. So I can see something that looks absolutely wild to my carnal mind, but in divine mind, I'm like, well, if it's happening, then it's in order. I can't tell you how many times I say that in a week, like, interesting. All right. Okay, God, I guess I'm gonna see what you're trying to show me. Because baby, if I approached it from my mind, thank you, God, for deliverance. All right, we give thanks for this word. Let us go into, let's close in a brief place of meditation where we are practicing that space where we can allow this character that we're talking about to be developed. And that's a space of emptiness. That's a space of quiet. That's a place of stillness. So let's set an intention to just get in that space of stillness so that in this week, we'll be able to practice this faith that we've been talking about and this strength. It is hard to do that when you're not in a place of surrender and a place of stillness. Surrender and stillness is the intention of this brief meditation. Surrender and stillness. Surrender and stillness. Practice what it feels like. Practice what it looks like. Practice how to get there to a space of surrender and stillness. Let's just start with our breath and relaxing the body. So taking deep inhales. That deep inhale should expand the body. Exhaling slowly and completely through the nose or mouth, whichever one is comfortable. But slowing the breath down, slowing the heart down, slowing the mind down is necessary. So inhaling a few times. This is what we do when you sit with your journal, when you sit in meditation, when you sit with your scripture. You want to first set the environment before you jump out into this world, before you do anything, before you go into that conversation, get into surrender and stillness. First, engage in the breath, inhaling deeply, and then relaxing the body. So relax the shoulders, the arms, the hands. Relax. I invite you for a couple of those inhales, hold the breath for a few seconds, and then exhale and relax a little deeper. Relax. Remember, the idea here is to slow the breath down, slow the heart, empty the mind, focus solely on the breath and the body. Nothing to think about. Disconnect yourself from your outside world and just be with yourself. Be in the kingdom. This is where spirit resides, in you. This is where the energy of God resides, in you. So the healing power, the peace power, the power to open things, the power to restore, all of it is in you. So tune out of the outside world by focusing on the breath, relaxing the body, Empty in the mind, totally surrender. Completely let go. Relax. And just breathe. As you go deeper into that relaxation, disconnect from the body, totally disconnect. Surrender. Imagine yourself floating, flowing. Not trying to practice any control. Just breathing deeply, slowly, relaxing, being empty. Continue to feel your entire body release. Your hips, your legs, your feet. Drop the jaw, release the forehead. Relax. This is a way to set the environment, the atmosphere, to ignite, invoke, stir up the energy of God. And we do that through remembrance. So as you relax, breathe, remember the reality of God. The reality of God is abundance, is limitlessness. The fragrance of God is peace, joy, steadfastness, rest. The reality of God is the reality that all is divinely ordered. You are divine beings. So divine consciousness is in you. Divine presence is with you. And divine protection is covering you. Be in remembrance of that. And as you remember, the Spirit of God will speak and reveal clarity. It will reveal the way. It will give you the direction. But you first have to set the environment, set the atmosphere, put you aside. We give thanks for the privilege of being divine beings. We give thanks for stillness. We give thanks for direction and guidance. We give thanks for the restorative power of God, the revealing power. As we close this meditation, take with you this affirmation this week. My strength is in my mind, and my mind is in God. My strength is in my mind, and my mind is in God. My strength is in my mind, and my mind is in and with and expresses God. Take one last deep breath in through the nose. Hold that breath as long as you feel comfortable. And when you're ready, Exhale and release. I invite you to come back to this present experience by wiggling your fingers and toes, giving yourself a little stretch. We give thanks for the message today, the meditation today, and the affirmation today that reminds us that our strength is in the mind. Mind becomes matter, thoughts become things. The strength is in the mind. If you have not experienced a radical transformation of mind, then you are still in process of your redemption. Okay? And we speak that we will all be redeemed. That we will all experience exodus. Oh. The exit from carnal mindedness and the entrance into God mindedness. Okay, man. Well, I thank you for joining me this AM, this Sunday, per usual. Thank you so much for joining. Give thanks, Kim. Do remember to share this message with anyone who you feel like could benefit from this message. As soon as I post that replay, you will have a link that you can share, and also let them know. You can share the link for them to tune in live on Sundays as well. If you'd like to support OU Ministries, you can do so at the link that you tuned in at. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can also share your love via the YouTube link for the love offering. Thank you so much for all of your support, as usual. Thank you so much for staying on, too. Thank you for the benediction. You know, my father would always say, don't leave before the benediction. That's how you close up and seal up that energy. I said, okay, I received that. And as soon as benediction happened, I'll be out because I only want to do it in the hugging and loving. That was me back in the day. But thank you for staying for the benediction. It's other ways that you can support the ministry. How can you support? You can come and shop in the OU Marketplace. You can take advantage of the events that are organized, the sound baths, the Tai Chi class, the sewing class that's coming up, the tea time that's happening every month, the yoga class that happens on Wednesday. Come out to our market days on Saturdays and support the vendors that we have. There are plenty of ways that you can support. When we kick off the farmers market, you can come and shop at the farmers market instead of circulating your dollars in the stores. Circulate your dollars here at the garden with other local artisans and farmers. This year, the plan is to have everything you need so you won't have to go to the store, including personal care items like paper towel, tissue, detergent, all type of things. That's the goal. That's the plan. That's the prayer, is to be able to recruit those who create those things naturally so we can transition to natural detergents, natural everything, natural meats if you eat meat, natural produce, of course, but also natural soaps and natural oils. So that is the plan for this farmers market. So supporting the farmers market is supporting OU. But guess what? Letting people know about OU Ministries, OU Marketplace, the garden is another way to support, even if you're not in Atlanta. Just letting people know about the offerings and the ministries is amazing. That'll be amazing contribution from you. And of course, prayers. Keep OU Ministries in your prayers. Keep all of the members and myself in your prayers. That is definitely always warranted and appreciated for sure. All right. I was just going to say something. What was I going to say? Be reminded that if you want to go deeper in your metaphysical studies, that would be, some have asked, which membership would that be? Well, I now offer 3 main memberships: Learn, Align, Thrive. Those are the 3 main memberships. Learn, Align, Thrive. The Learn membership is the base level membership. That's just really your contribution to the membership, to the ministry every month, your financial contribution to the ministry every month, as well as access to a portal or library of pre-recorded content by myself from all the way from 2019 all the way to now. It's refreshed ever so often, so you have a library of goodness that you can dig into at any point in time. If you put the Kajabi app on your phone, you can access your library of information through the app. So it'll be a little bit easier for you to log into versus going on to the membership site. The aligned membership is the membership where you are interested in joining our moon meditations live every month, where that's the new moon and the full moon meditation, as well as the new moon and full moon call. So listen, I've been emphasizing we should be in tune with what's going on astrologically, okay? That what's going on above, you should be in tune with. This is how you can stay in tune with the alignment of what's happening down here, okay? Without reacting to what's happening in the world. When you're tuned in to it spiritually, you can walk and see what's happening and be like, well, I know why that's happening. Okay. You can approach this life differently when you understand what's going on astrologically. That is the aligned group. You have access to those live moon calls where I'm talking about what's going on astrologically around the new moon and the full moon, as well as the meditation and the replays of those meditations. However, listen to this. If you're not quite ready to become a Thrive member, now if you are an Align member, you also have access to the replays of the metaphysical studies classes. I think that's important because as you are getting in tune with what's going on astrologically, I think it's essential for you also to be building your spiritual character, to understand life in a metaphysical standpoint. So as you are in tune astrologically, you're not looking at these things from a physical standpoint. So in order for you to do that, you have to understand metaphysics, is my thought. So I have added that to the Align membership. So you can get replays of the spiritual studies group. The Thrive members get access to all of it. They get access to the live meditations, the live moon calls, the live metaphysical study sessions, and all the replays. And the live members pretty much drive the studies that we are doing. They're able to contribute what is it that you'd like to hear about. Our last study of the divine feminine that came from the members definitely emphasized I'd love to understand the women of the Bible and divine feminine energy. That led into the chakra study. So it was just a beautiful studies, and I give thanks for those Thrive members influencing that. We are now currently doing a powerful study on divine healing. The book that we are doing a book study on is called Heal Thyself, a textbook of divine healing. And that book is a beautiful book. It offers powerful prayers and affirmations and clarity on each part of the body. And so we've been having a good time studying that book. So I'm very excited about that. Just wanted to take some time to kind of talk about the memberships because many have asked, and some of you may be interested. If you don't know which membership, if you feel like you do want to be a member, you don't know which membership is really for you, I would say book an introductory session with me. Let's talk about where you are, because the membership may not be for you right now either. You know, you may need to just stay tuning in on Sundays, maybe get a few services to do some personal work, and then you can join the community. But some of you are ready, absolutely ready for a deeper dive into metaphysics to take you to the next level. I want to shout out in closing, Mama Mercedes. Mama Mercedes came through for the sound bath on Friday. Then she came back in yesterday to the marketplace. Mama Mercedes is a, what she said, 70 and 7. She is a 70 and 7, beautiful, beautiful elder. And she shared her story, her journey of development in metaphysics. And as she shared her story and as she shared her light and her energy, vibrant elder, it was just very inspiring. And she emphasized how understanding God metaphysically and understanding life metaphysically was life-changing for her, and how she thought and how she thinks now. And, you know, I just think about someone who's 70 and 7. and I think, what, for the last probably 27 years, she's had to deal with governing her mind around her livelihood, her health. Because when you start to go into elder stage of life, first of all, you're around people who maybe start to become sick and have their life begins to close, their physical life begins to close. You are faced with people, doctors, all type of things. You have to keep your mind strong to be able to live lively and vibrant and peaceful and happy and joyous. And so just to see that image and feel her light and experience her, she was dancing in the store. It was just a vibe. It was just a vibe. She came in to let us know that her blood pressure went from 180 to like 166 after the sound bath. And I thought that was amazing. I said, wow. And she was just sharing her life. And I just wanted to shout Mama Mercedes out. Such an inspiration. I love to see examples of people who have, built their foundation in the reality of God and also built their foundation in holistic wellness and have stood strong and still shining their light now to us who have many years to go. But I wanted to share that because I'm gonna let you know now, yes, this is a opportunity to boost your energy and get excited, but this is also the foundation of your growth and a foundation of your livelihood. Okay, I just want you to know that. And so stick with it. Thank you so much for choosing OUM Ministries to be where you build your where you grow and become strengthened. I give thanks for you. I'll see you. If I don't see you before then, I'll see you next Sunday. Give thanks. All right, give thanks. Peace and love, y'all.